What's up, guys? Welcome to 𝙄𝙩𝙬𝙚𝙬 podcast, and for interview 41, I got the legendary, the one and only, I'll keep saying this because it's just, I can't believe it, Emily Curtis. Thank you for coming on. It's really been a pleasure talking to you before the lens and stuff like that, and even just looking you up in the short period of time that I did, it's like, you've done a lot of achievements, like even just the past few days. I think I saw you were like doing something with 𝙄𝙩𝙬𝙬𝙬 and stuff like that. Or...
Yeah, I posted a clip of something, a show from a couple months ago, but
yeah, no, but that's still cool. Yeah. Like not just saying that you being around it, but you being around it, it plays a big impact on yourself. Like it motivates you probably, and then you motivate other people, even people like me, you know? Because I grew up listening to 𝙄𝙩𝙬𝙬, you know? I'm from Mount Pleasant. Yeah. So we'll dig off into that. Where are you from?
I'm from Mount Pleasant.
Mount Pleasant? Yeah. Okay. Were you like, you know, not saying like popular or anything like that, but were you like well known?
That's a great question. I like to pride myself on being super uncool. I'm really okay with that because I feel like it allowed me to just focus on being in choir and dance and theater and all those things, and I loved high school for those reasons. And you know, I dig in when you see 𝙄𝙩𝙬𝙬𝙬 podcast, you know what I do. I dig in from when you were born to now. So like, where did you go to elementary school and stuff like that? I went to 𝙄𝙩𝙬𝙬𝙬, where my dad was teaching.
Oh wow. Was there anything like crazy, like, you know, that you remember about elementary school? Or? It
was just always fun having my dad around because everybody knew me as Mr. Curtis's daughter, you know? And so when I left elementary school, I was like, oh, you know, so I was kind of sad. It was like a weird shift. But I loved 𝙄𝙩𝙬𝙬𝙬 for that reason.
No, definitely.
Yeah.
I can imagine, because I think schools, and it was in Mount Pleasant, right? I think the schools in Mount Pleasant were probably the best schools ever, because I went to 𝙄𝙩𝙬𝙬, and it was like awesome. You know, there was a lot of people too, so you meet a lot of cool people.
Yeah, I went to 𝙄𝙬𝙬 too.
You went to 𝙄𝙬𝙬? Okay, so where'd you go to, I know you said middle school, where'd you go?
Cario.
Oh wow, that's dope. I know a lot of people that went there. How was that? Did you like anything crazy there?
I loved chorus. I think Mr. Brunson was a great teacher, and he was probably the bright spot in middle school.
So is that when you started?
I hated middle school.
Yeah, no, I think a lot of people did.
So that was the bright spot.
Is that when you learned to like play piano and like, you know, start like even writing music?
Well, I don't play piano. I play guitar though.
Okay.
But I think I've always just been involved in choirs and groups as soon as I could get on stage, as soon as I could get into a dance class. Mom says I like interrupted the class and just started dancing, like just walked in. I was like 3. That was before I had self-awareness, I think. No,
I mean, you're right. I mean, that's actually going to be my next question, but did you always feel like you were going to be doing what you're doing now at that, like, or any time around that age? Did you feel it?
I just loved it. I think I just was always putting on shows in the house and imitating different singers that I loved, but then middle school came around, and the end of elementary school really is where I started having like crippling stage fright, and so I had to work through that for most of the rest of school.
And like some people may not get it, because I kind of didn't get. What is that exactly?
Stage fright it's really psychological. It's just something in your body decides that you are not safe in front of people doing something like performing, and you're just super self-conscious of messing up. My voice would close up, so I couldn't really like couldn't perform as well as I would have liked to. What
are some ways that you like learned to like overcome it or like beat it? Because you definitely beat it. You perform in a lot.
I mean, it was really, really hard for me to try out for like a 2-word solo, like to that extent. Even being in a group of 80 on stage was scary. But I think it was a matter of being involved in those groups and just continuing to be out of that comfort zone, not like in a crazy way. I didn't have to do anything crazy dramatic, but it was pushing myself to that edge more and more and more, and you do make progress.
Yeah.
And so the groups got smaller, and I kept getting pushed to the front more and more, and before long I realized, oh, I'm doing these things and I'm surviving and everything's okay, and people are enjoying it. Like I was seeing the reaction of people, and they were getting something from it, and so that fueled me more and gave me more confidence, and it just has only grown since then.
Right. And definitely, I think we all know that it has, because like I said before, like you performed in a lot of big places, you've been around a lot of big people like we were just talking about, and even the music that you've dropped, we were talking about before the lens, it's like you make music for not just love and stuff, and you know, but for people that just want to hear a story, you know what I'm saying? Like you really I emphasize on that. That's I think that's remarkable, because it's cool. Not many artists do that, you know, like some really, but so like going to high school, you went to Wando. Was it only Wando?
Yep, only Wando. Was involved in all of the performing arts things that were possible. That's all I really remember.
Right.
But it's like just being on that stage at Wando.
That's crazy.
Constantly in rehearsals. A lot of times they would conflict and I would get in trouble with one of the teachers, and then they'd have to kind of like talk like, she's missing this rehearsal, she's missing this rehearsal.
What teachers do you remember the most? Because I have some favorite teachers from there too. Shout out to Miss Oliver.
I love looking back on those memories, but Mr. Wilkinson is still
Oh
there.
yeah, I love him.
Yes, he's still there rocking out with the kids, and I've actually gone back and spoken to them.
Wow.
Actually, it was about 5 years ago. That was really cool.
We need to go back. We need to hear some more. You know?
Yeah.
So after going to high school at Wando and stuff like that, what was going on? Like, what did you do after you know, I'm supposed you graduated and stuff like that. What was next after that? Like, was it like you felt like you didn't know what to do, or were you already like in the passion of making your career well known?
I think I always knew that I was going to go to college. I don't think that was ever not something that I wanted to do. I never considered another path. For me, that just made sense, and I felt like it was a developmental thing for me, I think. That it's not for everybody, but so I went to University of South Carolina.
Wow,
and
congratulations.
Thanks. And I didn't apply to any other schools. I just knew I actually grew up a Clemson fan, and then I went and visited some friends at USC. And I was like, oh, wait, I think I'm supposed to be here. And so I came home and applied, and that was kind of that.
Did you enjoy it, though? Like, was it something that you know, compared to high school and stuff, you remember?
It was definitely a different world. I mean, totally different world. I learned a lot the hard way.
Have to, though.
Yeah, I mean, I joined a sorority. I was in Zeta, but I was also in the female a cappella group, and that was something I immediately pursued, because I looked up singing opportunities, and I made sure that there was something that I could get involved in. I didn't get in the music program. I didn't apply for that, because I figured, you know, why would I get a degree in something, and then I wanted to get something different, basically, so I'd have a backup, or like have a different skill set, or
you always gotta have a backup plan. So like, I feel like you probably were living up to some high expectations for yourself, because you're doing a lot of different big things, you know.
Yeah.
So how did you handle that and stuff like that? Were you just like, did you feel like you were just pushing yourself every day, or was it like sisters, you know what I mean, friends, or family?
Yeah,
like, what was it?
I've always had support from my family. They have never put pressure on me in any way to overperform or anything. I think I always was just, I'm the pressure I put on myself. I always wanted to please whoever was in authority. And I loved performing. I loved being in the middle of the big events and things. I wanted to be at the center of it. Even if I'm not necessarily a super outgoing and extroverted person, I still liked being in the mix. Right. And that was kind of motivating.
Maybe that's like why you're so, you know, who you are now, because like you've learned to balance everything, you know, and because it sounds like you got a good head on your shoulders for real. And I've been following you for a while, not like too long, but probably like a month now, maybe a month and a half, and it's crazy, because you show yourself. You're not afraid to be yourself, which is something.
Yeah.
You feel opposite?
No, I do. I think sometimes I share too much. I wonder.
No.
I think there's a line.
I mean,
I don't
you
know.
have a story. We all have a story, and like the one thing that people don't realize, well, I think we do realize, is everything is social media now. So it's like, if you can just do it in a positive way, then why not? You know what I'm saying? That's just how it is. So if you're doing negative stuff, it'd be different, you know. But you don't do that, like. And but other than that, like you know, going through the music and stuff like that, what was your first big like gig, I could say? Like, what age and stuff was that when that happened?
Right after I graduated college, I came home and I was finishing up an internship, and I had a job lined up where I was going to be basically running an event center, and I was going to be managing that event space in Mount Pleasant. And, you know, there's security in that. There's everything lines up, like benefits.
That's like you make, sorry to cut you off, but that's like you doing the lineup and all that stuff like that.
And like, it's also like, it's like wedding stuff. It's all kinds of different things. And I just was crying every night going to sleep because I was like, wait, music though was always what I wanted to do, and I don't know what that looks like, but I know that if I do this thing over here, my life and all of my energy will be taken up by that. And I think at a certain point you just have to choose. And I chose, thankfully, music.
Yeah, right.
I chose what was not certain. I didn't know how much money I was going to be making. I didn't know if it was going to work out at all. But
Are you glad that you pushed through it?
Yeah, I mean, I think the worst thing that could have happened is if I had done the opposite and then have been sitting here at 30 and being like, wow, I could have done that. What would have happened if I had done that? I would hate to say that.
Telling your, you know, future kid or what, you know what I mean? Like, that would be miserable.
Like, if only is the worst feeling.
Yeah, it is. I agree. That's beautiful, though. That's why I'm glad you came on here, because I feel like you really have a story to tell. And, like, I think a lot of times people are scared to really live the dream that they want. And, you know, as I was telling you earlier before we got on here, it's like you have to choose one thing. And I feel like, boom, that's right there. Like, and a lot of people look up to you. You know what I mean? I've heard your name a good bit. I just never. Social media is so big.
It is.
It's so big. Like,
it is.
And then, like, just to finally, like, rekindle with people is the weirdest part. Because, like, I don't know if you ever noticed that, but have you ever seen somebody's name and then, like, months later you end up following them and you're like, I've seen that before. That's what happened. Like, I've seen a lot of different people because I studied.
Well, yeah, because you see someone on social media before you've met them.
Right, yeah.
That's a
well,
weird...
that and just, like, in the comments, though. Like, you've seen them comment on somebody you follow.
Yeah.
It's a whole thing. Social media
weird.
is a mess.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about social media? Are you a big fan of it?
I wish they'd quit changing the algorithm.
Yeah.
That's ruining everything.
Which platform?
Instagram is killing me.
I don't like it.
I can't, like, it's like they share your stuff. Like, people are like, you have a lot of followers. I'm like, well, that does not matter because they're showing it to 200 people.
That's it.
Every time I post.
Well, it's because so many people are posting now. And then now everybody's paying for sponsors. And it's like, there's no way of getting in it. But, like, I personally, like, and I don't know if you noticed since you've been following me, but I really just post every day. Like, I post 2 times a day. Shout out to my crew. Thank you guys for helping me because it's been hard, like, you know what I mean, doing the videos every day. So, like, other than that, social media and stuff, where can we find you on social media? Before we get off that.
I try to keep it Kurt Music on all the platforms.
Or Google, you know.
Or you know. Google Emily Curtis Charleston. Because there's apparently an Emily Curtis New York who's ruining all the things.
That.
Isn't that confusing?
Yeah. Like I was literally like, why is her thing so small? Like,
or why is it say she's born and raised in New York. And released an album in 2006?
It's the same thing.
I was like, hey, but it's my picture.
If you're not hating, or if you don't have any haters, then you're not doing your thing right.
So well, it's I don't know.
More publicity for you.
I guess.
Yeah, I'm gonna say both, but
it's confusing.
It is confusing. But make sure you guys look her up on everything. She's on YouTube and stuff like that. So it's like beautiful to even look you up on Google, and then it's like, you know, it's so cool. I give you full props. That's goals. But other than that, you know, I saw that you got a event coming up soon. What's the date on that? I remember.
March 13th.
Yeah, that's coming up. So where's
Monday.
that at?
So it's Creative Station, which is a new thing that a couple friends of mine have started to get creatives together, really, but they're doing a concert series featuring different people monthly.
Wow.
And there's a space on Spring Street that's this beautiful house. I think it's like a vacation rental that they're using to host these really cool house show type things. So it's really intimate. There aren't a bunch of restrictions as far as, like, most venues have a lot of rules and things. So you kind of escape that middleman mess.
You said it's on a Monday?
It's on a Monday.
Do you like performing on Mondays? I never heard anybody perform on a Monday.
There's a lot less pressure to...
That is true.
You know, it's like...
Real audience, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that kind of situation is a very small show. So I personally prefer being able to interact with people more. Yeah. I think I like both. It just depends. But
I know what you're saying.
When it's... Yeah, I think there's something special about being able to be in a room and talk to people and have a dialogue from the stage.
Feel their energy.
Yeah.
So, like, I was right when I said energy, my mind just said, ding. That sucks. I hate this. But, what you call it? Dang. Oh, yeah. Have you ever had any, like, not embarrassing moments performing or anything, but just, like, any, like, some that you just will never forget?
Yeah. I mean, definitely.
Is there anyone we can talk about?
Yeah. I'm not gonna like cry. Well, I think they end up being key in helping me become who I am on stage, to be honest. But I've forgotten lyrics to my own song on stage.
That's normal though, right?
Well, I mean, I prefer it didn't happen.
Yeah, I feel you. You're like, just like me.
Nobody else is up there. I was like solo by myself. I'm like,
yeah,
guys, let me think for a second. And then like all these eyeballs are on you, just like, okay, what she?
But like you said, it makes you grind harder next time. Like you really just, you know, and nobody's perfect.
And then I've had like chords go bad on stage or strings bust on stage, and like everything stops and you're in panic mode. But what I've learned is to take that and make it part of the show.
Yeah, you have to.
Because people are there for a live show, and what you can't get in a recording is that reaction from the artist on stage of when something happens, or the interactions with the band, or mess ups are part of life. And I think people, you disarm them when you can laugh at yourself on stage like that. Like, man, she's under a lot of pressure and she's not being perfect. And I needed to see that today more than I actually needed to hear her sing.
No, that's a fact. And that's something people don't realize. Like, and I know some people do, but because once you get to that level, you kind of understand everything, you know. But some people think when that happens, it's like, it's done.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Like, no,
I can't
capitalize
do
on
this.
that.
Yeah, you got to go harder, eat that up. So that's cool. I like to hear that. Is there anybody who you like kind of look up to, like inspirationally on performing and music-wise to make your music?
I mean...
Like, are you more of like a Taylor Swift type person?
I am a big, like, soulful music. I grew up listening to Stacey Orrico, and I would try to imitate her. She's not really doing music anymore, but Tori Kelly started following her the same time I did because we're the same age. But she's got the same style, and so I look up to her and how she...
Is that Charleston based? Sorry,
No.
Global.
She's California.
Yeah, that's dope though.
But I like how she puts herself out there and presents herself. As a woman, and just vocally she's incredible. Just all those good things.
I like that. What about performance wise? Is there anybody you like learn from anybody, or you just kind of go on the stage and do your thing?
I will say, so I work with Patrick Davis and his band, and he's very good at performing and creating a story on stage and interacting with the crowd. And so every time I'm singing backup vocals for him, I'm observing and I'm watching, and I feel like I'm learning a lot just from working with him as his backup vocalist and watching him on stage.
When did that start?
That started about a year and a half ago.
Okay. Now, how's that been going? You like doing it?
Well, that was the Darius Rucker thing.
Oh, wow. Okay, that all makes sense.
That's been a catalyst for some really cool interactions.
Yeah, that's powerful. So, like, what else do you have planned in the future, like, other than this upcoming event? Like, what do you have in store? Do you have any, like, new music dropping? Or, like, you know,
I am writing like crazy right now.
That's
I am
awesome.
just writing and trying to get that feeling. The songs that I've released, I've always had a feeling about, because a lot of people, we write songs all the time that we don't share. So I try to give little snippets of songs that I'm working on to see how people receive them and if they have an impact, and that inspires me to keep digging
going harder on it. So that's kind of how you dig in, or that's how your process of writing works too?
Yeah, utilizing social media for me in that way too. Like, I use it as a writing tool.
Do you go in like public to write do your writing, or is it more of like staying in your house? I know it's a weird question, but
you mean like, do I write in front of people
like
they're watching me?
Yeah, you know, like how some rappers and stuff go to a studio and write and
stuff. Oh yeah, like collaborative.
Yeah,
I do that too.
Okay.
There's a million different ways to do it.
What's your favorite?
I mean, it's nice to be in a room with people, and when you have a really good team, and just, it's fun. You're hanging out with people that you can be super honest with, because you have to be really raw when you're writing with people. It's a really intimate thing, and so you become really close with the people that you work with just by default, because you're talking about things that you may not just like talk with random people about. So I also write by myself though, and right now I'm really just writing alone because of the subject matter of what I'm writing about. It's a little bit personal, and I just really want to be alone and sort it out myself, and so that's kind of different this time around as far as writing goes.
How were you during the pandemic? How'd you handle stuff? Were you like in your house just going hard on the writing, or was it?
I was involved in like a lot of online stuff.
Yeah,
so
I was curious because like some people lose their energy that way.
No, I think I released 2 songs during the pandemic.
Wow.
And I started trying to kind of like do more live stuff and talked with people live. I was doing writing camps via Zoom. I was learning how to produce my own vocals so that
you took advantage of it.
I did.
That's awesome.
And it served me well. I think having that time of forced solitude and knowing you're not missing out on anything else. There's a difference of like not having to worry about the FOMO.
No, I feel you.
Because nobody was doing it. You couldn't miss out.
No, that's a fact.
So there was something I could really be where I was because I wasn't afraid of missing out on something. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I think a lot of good came out of that despite the awful loss that we saw. There was some good that came out of it.
Yeah, and I just wanted to ask, because as an artist, that was probably some of the hardest time periods for some artists.
It was scary.
That made that sense, because it was like you're stuck. You can't go to your studio, and some people don't have studio.
Yeah, it was a very scary time for events, and I felt bad for bands, especially like live, like drums and bass and all that stuff. That we were under so many restrictions. Even when things did open up, I could go get a solo acoustic gig and they would do the cutoff at 9 p.m. because the ordinance.
Yeah, all the places shut down.
And so I was okay. I was able to start gigging pretty early on, but a lot of my friends that didn't do that kind of music couldn't play because they weren't supposed to be getting the crowd up and like with each other, right?
It's just like a background type deal. That sucks.
So
I could tell that kind of, I could tell that kind of like, embezzled into your head a little bit,
Yeah, scary.
So like, I was going to ask, not only do you do music and all that, you also do sister songs, right? Shout out to Maggie. I love her.
Yes.
That was a really dope interview with her, and like how she was describing the whole process of how that started was beautiful. So like, what's your side? Like, how did it become about, or like, what was it, like, what's your main role in it, if I could say?
Time flew. It really did. We started it together with Erica Lamble. And I think individually we all had our own experiences with what we weren't seeing in the local community, what we wished we could see, and what we were seeing.
And I appreciate you doing that. Yeah. I don't know if you get flowers enough for it, but like a lot of people don't take their time out to make something like that. Like it's all about, especially an artist with what you got going on, like you'll look at this interview and be like hearing everything, and then it's like, I do this too, but it's like you didn't have to do that. You know what I mean? You don't have to take your time out to, make an impact on the community like that. So I really appreciate that, and shout out to Maggie and the other lady too, because it's like, that's a powerful movement. So
yeah, it was something that I actually started journaling about. I found the journal entry actually a couple weeks ago, and I read through it. It was more of like a vision. Like I have this vision, and I was like, I feel like God put it on me, and I was like, okay, I have this vision of like what would it look like if, and I started writing all these things down in different people's names. And then I just sat with it. I looked at it. I was like, I think that's going to happen. I don't know how. I don't know what it's going to be. But I think there's something to that. And then I started calling up people that I thought, well, actually, a local artist, guitar player that is no longer with us, Eric Penrod, passed in 2021. Or was it the end of 2020? I think it was 2020, actually. And we all went to his memorial service. And he had this impact on people of all different genres and like backgrounds, and I didn't know that about him. He was very like calm, just like kind, talented person, and everybody showed up for him at his memorial, and I sang at it. I sang one of my songs, and just looking out at everybody from the music community was really powerful. And then later on that night there was like a artist like jam session memorial. It was private at Uptown Social up on the roof, and it was just only people that were there for him, and it was a lot of musicians that I'd seen. We talked about like you've seen them everywhere, like posted about them, but we do the same things, but we didn't know each other. And like I was seeing different people. I met Zandrina Dunning that night. I met Christian Smalls that night, and I was like, I've been wanting to meet these people for so long. Why don't we know each other? Why is this the first time that we're seeing each other perform?
Do you believe in like manifestation of frequencies and stuff like that? Are you like a big fan of that or no?
I am a really strong believer in Jesus, so like that is where like the Holy Spirit is a very big part of that for me, and so prayer and faith in His purpose and plans.
Yeah,
I think He puts that on our hearts and nudges and nudges and nudges and starts creating the opportunities to say yes or no.
Yes, ma'am.
And so I said yes to, you know, those little pokes, and we just chatted about, I started asking people like, hey, like, what would it look like if we had some kind of group, like where we just were able to put women together, because I don't know these people and I want to. And like that would create, because we're all in groups with these great guys. We are in bands with mostly men though, and there's something to be said about being able to relate to another woman who's doing something that you're doing, and something non-traditional already. And we got coffee a few times, Maggie and myself, Erica, and we brainstormed. We're like, well, let's just set up a space where we bring everybody together and people are allowed to talk about what they're doing, ask for help, be really honest, and just see what happens. We didn't want to put a bunch of like rules and things on it. We really wanted to open it up for it to become what people needed that showed up. And the first time we met at Brew Lab upstairs, and people showed up. And we've never not had a group show up, and it's gotten pretty big as far as we've reached up to like 30 people at one meeting.
It's gonna probably be 100 by the end of this year.
Well, I mean, and we got to figure out how does it look like, how do we keep it small in terms of how it feels small and not overwhelming, because there have been women who've come in, they were like, I am terrified to be here. Which that was big for me, because I was like, why is she scared of us? We're her. We are her. Why is she afraid of us?
Some people just are like, you know what I mean? Don't, like you said in the beginning, like that feeling, that overwhelming feeling of being nervous and what were you saying? Overthinking and stuff like that.
Yeah, we had people that were like, I don't know if you understand, like it's taken me a long time to come in here.
Yeah.
And I think that has a lot to do with that competitive nature, and like girls are mean. As a result of that competitive, like being pitted against each other, we're mean to each other.
Right.
It's like a survival response.
And it's rare for some, same with males too.
Yeah.
But it's rare to even find like that comfort, that love, and you know, sometimes you may not. You know, you just got to learn how to stick to your own. Which I feel like how you said writing your music by yourself is what you're doing right now. Like you got to learn how to balance it and be able to control it. So that's beautiful. I love to hear that, and you know, just the fact of how y'all started it. And I just had to ask you, you know, because it's cool. I really love it, and I'm excited for the future for you guys. And I was gonna ask, is there any, or not any, can you always be yourself whenever you wake up?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I try. I mean, like if I'm not myself, I don't really know who else I'm gonna be.
That's a good way.
I mean, my goal is for people, like when I make music and do anything, I want them to get excited about who they are and not be wishing they were the person they're seeing on stage. Because when I was younger, I would see singers on stage and be like, well, I want to be like her. I just want to be her. I don't want to be me. And I never, at some point you can't control it, but to a certain extent you can get people excited about being themselves and like the best version of themselves. And so that's my goal.
Yeah, that's what 𝙄𝙩𝙬𝙚 goal is too, and that's why you're here, because it's been beautiful. And you know, just the fact of your mindset's like that, you're gonna make it far, you know. And that's the whole thing of life, you know. But again, is there anything else I didn't touch base on, or anything? Is there anything else you want to go over real quick?
I don't think you touched on a lot of things.
Yeah, it's, you know, I did some studying too, so I had to like intertwine it. But you know, I just had to let you guys know this is probably one of the most inspirational people in South Carolina.
Oh my gosh!
You know, just what she does for the community, and even helping people when you don't have to. It's beautiful. Again, Emily Curtis. Thank you for coming on. It's been beautiful. I don't know if you know, but I bring everybody back next year around the same time. So we'll see how you're doing, the bad, the good, and just see what's going on, you know?
Something will happen.
It's been beautiful. I thank Something's
gonna happen.
But thank you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the interview. Remember, stay true to yourself. The only way to achieve your dreams is through you. Nobody's gonna, or you got to get up every day and want it. Oh, thank God dang it. I love you guys. See you guys again soon. Peace.